Hello, my name is Mike Fisher, and I'm the creative director and founder of Studio Indigo. I've been fortunate in that I've always known I wanted to be a designer. From an early age, I remember quite distinctly, age 2, my grandfather gave me a present. That present was called Better Builder. Now, Better Builder was like an early form of Lego. It was made up of little small bricks and small pieces of plastic that you would clip together to form slate roofs. Later, I played with Lego and Meccano as well. And when I wasn't busy designing things indoors, I was busy outdoors building things like dens, tree houses, or racing go-karts that my friends and I would race around the streets where I lived. I founded Studio Indigo about 15 years ago. I'm not sure there was a great plan. I guess it was something that I wanted to do. I wanted my independence, and I had a certain amount of ambition, I guess. And in those days, I always dreamt of Studio Indigo being, a small boutique office of maybe 5 or 6 people. But over those 15 years, Studio Indigo's grown and grown, and now we're nearly 50 designers, and our work is both on land, on the sea, and in the air. And the projects that we work on span the globe. So it's quite an achievement in 15 years. My first boat project was actually quite modest. It was the refit of Lexington Blue, which was a 105-foot Johnson motor yacht. And from there, things have grown and grown, I'm pleased to say. People often ask me, what am I most proud of? And that's quite a difficult question to ask without upsetting a lot of people as well. But in truth, all of the projects that I've worked on, I'm very proud of, because for me, they represent an experience, a journey, a friendship, something learned. But of course, we all have highs and sometimes lows. And for me, one of my highs was Motor Yacht Joy, which was our first truly super yacht design. And it was a brave choice by a client because Studio Indigo really hadn't designed anything like that on that kind of scale and that type of project before. As a designer, people also ask, what's the best piece of advice that I've ever been given, or in fact, that I could give anyone else? And I remember many years ago, I was just a young designer straight out of architecture school. And we were working on a competition, and it was a Saturday afternoon. And I was just surrounded by piles of tracing paper. I had nothing to show for all my labors. And my boss came in and said, "Okay, Mike, what have you done? What have you done? What's the big idea?" And I looked forlornly at him and said, I'm not getting anywhere with anything. It's kind of all around me with all these piled up pieces of paper. And his advice to me was, Mike, stop thinking about it and get on with it. And I think that's how I approach most things these days. I do think about it for a moment and then I get on with it. And that's the advice I pass on to other people as well. Well, I guess all around me. As a designer, I'm constantly looking. The more you see, the more you know. And of course, I love to read, Boat International, of course. Lots of magazines and lots of books. I'm sitting here in my library at Venn, surrounded by books. And I probably read half of them, but not all of them. But in this lockdown, that's something that I'm trying to resolve anyway. And again, I suppose other things people ask us is what are the most crazy things clients ask us to do? Well, one of the most mad ideas was actually designing an igloo. The client had this dream of sitting in a jacuzzi in almost like a winter wonderland, as if they were in a Scandinavian or a northern Russian forest, and the steam was rising, and something really romantic out of Dr. Zhivago. So we came up with this idea of an igloo, which we constructed out of a mirror and glass and silver, and even the pieces of furniture were designed to look like blocks of ice. So that was fairly crazy and fun and experimental, and I think has turned out rather well. That's also quite a difficult question to answer. I suppose, in the words of Coco Chanel, fashion fades and style remains. And I suppose a good design from a great design is that a great design is eternal. It never fades. It becomes timeless. How you define that? That's much more subjective, I think. If I had all the money in the world, which of course I don't, but if I did, the boat that I would like to have most of all, I think, is CCG 818, now known as Pi. And the reason I say that is because I can appreciate its design rigor. As a designer, I appreciate just the ruthless rigor that's gone into making it, from a design point of view, so perfect. And that's something that I greatly admire, I think. If I wasn't busy designing yachts, what would I be doing? Well, I'd be sitting on my own yacht, of course. And hopefully that's what I'll be doing once the lockdown is finished, floating around somewhere in the Mediterranean, gin and tonic in hand, and dreaming of another super yacht project. So something to look forward to in any case.